Well, happy Monday and welcome to Restoring the Family with your professional life coach, Chanel. So glad to be with you. We are continuing in our series, and today I want to talk about the 5 different relationships. It's going to be important that you're able to distinguish all of the relationships that are around you so that you know how to build your life. All right, so let's get into it. Okay, guys, there are 5 different kind of relationships. We have the familial, we have your spiritual, we have your platonic, you have your romantic, and then you have your professional relationships. It's going to be important for you to be able to identify and distinguish the difference between all of the people that are in your life. So let's go through real quick one by one, and we'll discuss what they are and how to be able to pinpoint that with the people in your life. All right, let's deal with the first one, and that is your familial. We're talking about your family. Your family is where you begin to understand love. That's where you're shaped in security. You begin, stable. You also get your underlying principles that you build your life on, or as I call them, belief principles. You get your belief principles, and then you build upon those. You get that from your family. You actually between your siblings, if you have siblings, that's where you begin to understand friendship and actual unconditional love, because they're your siblings. They get on your nerves, but the next moment you just want to hug their neck. And so that is important to understand. Those relationships are that your familiar is your foundational relationship. That is where you got your parents. They're teaching you about love. They're teaching you about unconditional love. They're supposed to show you about relationships between your mother and your father. And so that is your training ground. That is your foundational piece. And it's understandable. A lot of times, we have to be honest that, sometimes our families can be a little dysfunctional. But those are still staple relationships. They're going to be in your life probably for the rest of your life. And I think you need to learn how to be able to deal with that, because what you don't understand is what you are learning while you're at home and you're around your family is what's going to happen when you produce your own family. So having that foundation is important. Now, let me say this. If you did have a rough upbringing, go to counseling, because you need to make sure that you've got that together. So when you start your own family, you don't bring that dysfunction in, but now you're coming in and you're building on a very whole foundation. And I think that's important. All right, now you have your spiritual foundation. Your spiritual foundation, I'm going to bring that a little bit more personal. Whether you believe in God, Buddha, whatever it is you decide that, you go for. Everybody has something in them drawing them closer to want to connect and to be close to it, that entity. And so developing a relationship with who it is that you believe in, I believe, keeps you centered. It keeps you with clarity. It keeps you with a place where you have stability in your life, because you know where you can go, whether you are doing prayer or you're doing meditation or whatever it is that you do. You're finding your core. So your spiritual relationships, they are people that are around you, that you guys come together and you guys are able to connect spiritually. They are a place of prayer for you. They're a place of encouragement for you. They're there for you guys to enjoy life together. You're, connecting on God. So these relationships are very important because they help you to keep your core. When you are off, somebody's on to be able to push you back on so that you can get on, and to help push you back to God if you feel that you've gotten too far. So make sure that you are developing those relationships, but also make sure that you're keeping those safe. Here's what I mean by that. Sometimes people can get really, really close, and then they start invading and crossing lines that they don't need to cross. And I'm not talking about like dealing with romantic stuff. But what I am saying is sometimes, you have to be careful who is in your space, because if you've got a spiritual messy person, they're going to mess up your whole life with contamination. They're going to be talking about people and all kinds of stuff like that. So if you see that type of person and that's not where you are, push that right on up out of there, because you need to make sure that you keep that area pure. Because your spirituality, regardless of which direction that you lean to, is what gives you center. So make sure that your spiritual connections between you and God, and you and people that are spiritual, whether it's your church or your pastor, or you've met people that are spiritual and that you really like to hang with, make sure that they're a pure connection so that your connection to God stays pure. All right, then you have your platonic friends. Okay, platonic means that we are not related, but we are friends. We have found a way and we connect. We relate on some level or another. Now, what's going to be important about platonic relationships is also understanding there are different levels to the platonic relationship. You know, you got your associates, you've got your friends, you got your besties, right? Your associates are people that you see maybe at your job, or, you know, you see them out at the store or at the gym. So you know, hey, how you doing? Y'all exchange, you know, words, but they know nothing really about you. Except, you know, you guys enjoy each other's presence and company when you are around. All right. Then you have those that are you consider to be your friend. I always tell people, you know how close someone is to you by the level of information that they know about you. So if you have a close friend, they're probably, they know your family. They know if you know, maybe dating, they know things, but they don't know the intimate details. Why? Because they are still, they're my friend, but I have not felt close enough to pull them in to give them that level of information. So I always tell people, you know how close someone is to you by the level of comfortability that you have with divulging information. All right. So those, you know, friendships are good. And then you have your bestie. My bestie went home to be with Jesus last year. Oh, you know, I just said last week, I was like, oh, I need to call her, but she's gone to rest. But, you know, there's nothing I couldn't tell her. I remember when I was pregnant with my last child, and, you know, she calls me and I'm just sobbing, you know, and I'm just breaking it all down to her. And, you know, we walk through so many things together. Your friends that are your besties, they walk through life with you, and they know everything about you. I mean, everything. If they ever turned on you, you in trouble. All right. So those are the platonic relationships that you really want to harness, and you want to make sure that you know who they are and where they belong, so that you do not allow in someone that is going to hurt you in the end. All right, now we're going to deal with the romantic relationships. We're going to deal with that a lot more because we're going to be dealing with how do we get the family restored and things like that. But let's talk about your romantic relationships. Your romantic relationships usually start out as friends. We're getting to know each other. And then as you get to know each other better and you decide you want to be together, then it starts to advance. Now, in platonic relationships, that means that I've got to open myself up to a person in a whole different way. And it turns into romantic. It doesn't start that way because I need to know if I even like you. Now, this one is going to be the most important one out there. They say two of the biggest decisions that you make in life is what you want to do in life. And the second one is who you want to marry. And I believe that's so important to, you know, really think about, because baby, you marry the right person, your life goes bananas. It's wonderful. It's going up because you guys are growing together. But you marry the wrong person, you could lose everything. So it's going to be important that, you know, you understand the romantic relationships. You guys understand that you guys are going into a relationship or a covenant, or you want to get to know each other. Romantic does not have to mean sexual, but that can be a part of a romantic relationship. And that also includes marriage. Marriage is included in that category. So these are the people that we are very intimate with. We're sharing our emotions with on a deeper level. And it's somebody that I want to be connected to for life. So that is romantic relationship. All right. And lastly, we are going to talk about your professional relationships. These are the relationships that you have developed. We either work with them or, you know, they're connections that you developed during business. And so, you know, it's like we see each other, we're cool, we don't have no problems with each other. But when I go home, you don't cross my mind again. But they're just there because we work together. We want to get along with each other, or we're doing business with each other. And we want to make sure that we're cordial so that I don't mess up your money, you don't mess up my money. All right. So those are the 5 different kinds of relationships. It's going to be important that you can identify them so you can steward them appropriately, because listen, there's nothing worse than having friendships and relationships and people all in the wrong places, and then just a whole bunch of drama. So take the time, look at your relationships, see where they belong, and place them there correctly. All right. All right. I may do another video sometime this week because I do want to start diving into some of them and going a little deeper. All right. Bye.